Abhijit.
Hi, Linu, and namaste to all the delegates. And it's really honor and privilege to speak on ECRD HS Virtual Summit. EHS and sustainability has been two prime domain which most of the organizations have been focusing since last few years. But
Right.
post COVID, this is definitely going to become a major, selection of area wherein most of the organizations, apart from technology, will focus drastically because employee work, health, and safety is going to be of a paramount important, and that's how where most of the organization will see a major paradigm shift in their decision making and their planning. So though that's the very passionate subject of mine, but today I will be speaking about something different other than EHS and the workplace health and safety. And I will like to go through the real estate trend which is in lieu of COVID-19. So here I would like to start off with my presentation. To
Yeah.
begin with,
Yes, sure, Dr. Abhijit. Just give me just 1 minute. I would like to introduce you to the audience, and I would like to tell my audience that Dr. Abhijit Sarkar is an eminent speaker. He has a 15 plus years of experience into the admin, facility, real estate, infrastructure, as well as in sourcing industry. He holds a doctorate in real estate management studies and is a certified EHS professional. Also, he holds a black belt in Six Sigma. So we are so excited to have you on board with us, Dr. Abhijit. And I hand over the stage to you. Have a good session.
okay, thank you so much, Linu, for this introduction. And before I start off this session, I would like to express my gratitude and thankful to HS Virtual Summit that for inviting me to speak on this interesting subject. Uh, Safety and environment sustainability are going to be the few the two of the main predominant area which are definitely going to be having a major paradigm shift during this COVID and post COVID.
Right.
So definitely these are my subjective and very my area of choice. But definitely I'm going to speak something different on a different subject today. Before I start off, since Linu has already introduced me, I would also like to say, apart from heading the corporate real estate infrastructure sourcing and procurement for a company called Sharekhan by BNB Paribas, I'm also an advisory board member for an association called Infra, and I'm also on the Central Leadership Forum of an association called KCS, which basically work for all admin, real estate, and HR fraternity. So now here I start with my presentation. So what is the background? In January 2020, WHO declares outbreak of new coronavirus disease in Hubei province, China. What happens? The globe there follows China and definitely start working on what sort of trend China is following to ensure that in case this pandemic enhances, everybody has to be ready with some kind of disaster recovery plan. So the first thing that happened was China was isolated to an extent, and apparently all the travel from China were restricted most of the country, including India. So things continued till March, wherein many of the states in India declare a lockdown. And gradually, MHA also came out with a detailed lockdown proposition and extending that up to April 15th. So now, in lieu of this lockdown, entire country was shaken because this was not merely a lockdown; it was lockdown in principle. It has isolated and restricted many things, and apparently, out of various sectors that has been impacted, real estate is one of the sector that has taken a lot of it of the same. And as we go ahead with the presentation, I will share my viewpoint on how it got impacted. As we all know, after agriculture, the construction and infrastructure, these are the major largest area which provide the employment in the country, and they are definitely responsible for propelling India's overall development by ensuring the time bound creation of world class infrastructure in the country. Through the construction sector was in slum in 2011 to 2015. The sector managed to grow post 2015, and the signs were good until the lockdown imposed across the country due to COVID-19 virus outbreak. We have seen, in last 1 year, the real estate sector has grown up phenomenally. Although the GDP contribution of real estate was around 6 to 7%, but with the way it was growing, we expected that it will contribute at least 12 to 30% in 2020. But apparently, the lockdown has restricted it to a larger extent. So now what happened? That has impacted the trade and business worldwide. Disruption in business cycles are bound to impact the demand for commercial as well as residential prices in the real estate market of India. Lockdown has created most of the organization to isolate their activities. Though many of the organizations are allowed to function as an essential services, but largely lot of organizations have to restrict their activity principally incomplete. This could be various reasons. One could be lockdown, and second could be because of the supply chain restriction. Since China and the international travel has been isolated completely, there is no activity to be happening in the ground level. So that has impacted most of the commercial activity to a larger scale. So now the current advisory restricting concern over the pandemic may also delay the decision on commercial real estate space take up in a short term. But the long term impact remains unknown as the longevity of crisis is uncertain. So anything on this can be cleared only after this pandemic is gradually eliminated, and then we see how the trend comes in. So till that time, it is basically a wait and watch thing which we most have to do. Due to this pandemic, many developers are skeptical to launch their new project considering the current situation. One is in lieu of the available inventory, which is not going, and apparently getting into a new project could be a challenge, because if you start off, whether you will be in a position to complete that or not is a major challenge. First thing is the availability of raw material, because majority of the steel is imported from China. Majority of the electronic equipments are imported from China. Majority of the solar panels are imported from China. And again, the migrating labors are concerned. So nobody wants to take up a new project, and they are rather focusing on completing the existing project instead of taking up a new project. Again, the uncertainty of job is keeping morale of home buyers down. We have seen many companies have started shrinking their employee size, and apparently many employees have lost their job. Many employees have to take a salary cut. In lieu of this uncertainty, in lieu of this fear, people are not getting into any kind of risk or exposure to go for a home loan or to invest in property. So this has further impacted the sourcing of or the booking of the new residential complexes. Apart from the concerns of job, the other issue which most of the developer are facing is social activity. Basically, that has impacted most of the site visit, and people are not able to visit the site and have a look at property. There are a lot of parameters. First, lockdown has restricted people in traveling, and secondly, the social distancing norm is creating another bottleneck to ensure that people are not able to travel in a group or with a larger section of people to take a decision. So the completion timelines of retail projects are expected to be delayed as sourcing of fit outs are done majorly for China. If you have to see the statistics, the office market witnessed a net absorption of 8.6 million square feet, which means a decline of 30% YOY. If I have to compare this with the same period last year, which definitely is a significant fall. So what are the negativity in this? The major negativity that has created the impact is a wider lockdown restrictions. We have never seen such a bigger strength or a bigger tenure of a lockdown ever. Apparently, and again, since it is a global pandemic, the demand, has been weakening globally. Then apparently a lot of impact on landlords because of the rent reduction negotiations, as most of the properties are lying idle, and whereby people who don't want to vacate are definitely emphasizing landlord to have backward calculation in terms of rentals. So many a time the escalations are deferred, and many a time the market has been crashed in lieu of the inventory available, and people are demanding quite a significant fall in the rentals. What is the positive? Policy support is something we have seen. Government announcing 20 lakhs crores of circa, wherein that is going to be adding a very significant value to the economy, and which is the highest as compared to the any relaxation that has been offered globally. Government is also emphasizing more on something to be exploring within the nation. That is good. We will see a lot of new industry coming in within the country. Gradually resumption of business also is creating the morale of the business owner high, and they do expect that at a point of time the economy is going to change, and gradually things will come to normalcy. Tech-led resilience has played a major part, and apparently those building or those business park which are highly technically resilient in their operational have played a very critical role. And in future, we will definitely see demand for such building coming in picture. What is unknown? Path of recovery is definitely unknown. We don't know how long it will take. There is also a fear of a second wave that can come in if the relaxation goes into a larger extent. Supply chain reform has been a challenge because we still have a lot of restriction on international travel. These are definitely not coming to India. So that is going to be another concern. And then new ways of working and shopping is going to be another trend. So that is still unknown as of now, how it's going to flow and how the retail is going to be managed. Again, the large occupiers are adopting a conservative leasing strategies and putting decisions on hold. They are avoiding taking up office spaces for next few months. And mostly the leasing is expected to be mainly driven by renewals and consolidation activity. The fresh take-up of spaces is likely to be limited in coming periods, and landlord might have to sit on a locked capital, that is the completed building, for a relatively longer period of time. We have seen many corporates have adopted a strategy whereby they have surrendered their larger offices, and either they have moved out to significantly lower premises, or they have surrendered couple of offices and moved to a single office wherein they have consolidated their space in lieu of the work from home culture, and that is working very significantly. So definitely the leasing strategy is going to be not the same at which what used to be prevailing before the COVID. Definitely the strategy for next 1 or 2 years is definitely going to be a different. People are definitely not emphasizing on a larger floor plate. Even if they have to take a premises in future, they will try to ensure that they move their footprint to a large smaller scale and keep people on work from home and floating basis to ensure that the real estate size has shrink completely. Occupier also have begun the renegotiating the lease rentals on extension of rent-free period as well as waiver of lock-in periods. So many places we have seen people who have pre-committed has clearly agreed with the landlord either to renegotiate those rentals, or they have clearly agreed that the rentals will be starting only when the entire zone is green and they are able to complete the fit out and start their activity. So there are a lot of changes in terms of leasing dynamic, and it's exclusively in lieu of COVID-19. Basically, all the leases which were discussed before COVID are definitely are in the mode of changing their shape in terms of negotiations and renegotiations. Liquidity concerns have arisen a lot between developers and landlord, and we have even seen many investors coming out in market and selling their product at a lower price. Secondly, the major setback which has happened is to the co-working spaces. Co-working operators who are exposed to a short-term contract in particular have also faced a greater problem, because if most of the members have not renewed their agreements with them, and there is no binding because the lock-ins are also very shorter, and in many of the places in hot desking there is no locking as well. So, and again, in lieu of social distancing, the occupancy of the entire co-working has gone for a toss, and a co-working operating with 200 workstation will have only 100 workstation to offer in lieu of the social distancing norm. So definitely you will see the shrink of usage, as people are not going to pay you for an unoccupied space. So that is largely going to impact even the co-working market till the time things definitely come into normalcy. In medium and long term, the current health crisis will definitely lead to evaluating commercial real estate strategy to make it more resilient to such shocks. And business continuity plans and remote working strategies have been successful. Hence, future demand for occupier is likely to take up into account the need of flexi workplace. This could encourage occupiers to reduce the capital cost. So now when we have seen that work from home culture has really worked successfully, except few technical hitches, most of the organizations are definitely going to reduce their footprints. And even if they create an office, the office is going to be altogether a new look. It's not going to be the same what it is to prevail before the COVID. It's going to be a very flexible office, although we have seen the hot desking prevailing, but now most of the organization will get into a mode of hot desking wherein you will not have a fixed place, and you will have only occupancy of people coming on certain days and certain days working from home. So that's how a property is going to be managed, and most of the occupier are going to reduce their infrastructure cost by reducing the trend of workplace and making people work and work from the flexible workplace. What are the key learnings from this? The key learning is employees can be productive anywhere, not just in the office. There was a myth that if you need to work, you definitely need to go to office. But that myth has been changed completely by COVID-19, and we have seen in COVID most of the people are working from home, and remote working has really successfully delivered a best result. Even the research says that the company who have adapted to remote working in past, the remote workers have really done well. During the pandemic, the collaboration also has reached a new height in view of the newest technology. So people earlier used to say that workplace is required for a collaboration. Yes, yes, it's do required for a collaboration. But then even due in lieu of pandemic, we have seen that collaboration happening via Zoom and other technical support. People are able to connect with each other. There is no isolation, there is no silo. People are able to connect, people are able to speak, people are able to see each other. So definitely they have kept us integrated. It's not that we are isolated and we are working in silos. So individual focus has remained strong. So while working from home, employees continue to report the ability to focus when they need to be productive on individual tasks. That is the key element when you work from home. Flexibility and choice to work from home anywhere is accelerated. And today's generation and the generation in future definitely wants flexibility. And 73% of workflows, as per survey, believes that their company should embrace some level of working from home culture. Because in India, we have seen, the working from home culture has not been completely adopted. Whereas in UK, US, and Europe, we have seen this culture has been adopted largely because of various factors. One, that is enabling employee to manage their work and personal life, and also basically more on the sustainability fact, because when you restrict people traveling, there is always a save in the travel cost and save in fuel and other parameters, whereby reducing the carbon emission. So now people have understood that, and people are more inclined that companies should encourage this work from home culture. Employee feel that 90% of employees are trusted when they work. That is what the survey says. So the new normal is going to be different. It's not going to be the same what was prevailing in the month of February 2020. The workplace is no longer going to be a single location, but an ecosystem of a different location and experience to support convenience, functionality, and well-being. Today, as we talk about employee health and safety and sustainability, so your workplace will be more focused on a well-being of an employee. Though your workplace will be not the same as what it was, it is going to be altogether a different design. It is all going to be a different location. Most of the company may try to spend try to go for a office in a prime location, and may not be a larger office but for a smaller place, and then they will have a smaller office at different location which is close to the residence of the employees. That's going to be a network office. That's how the pattern is going to change in future. And the office isn't going to be anywhere. Balancing the impact of social distancing on the density with less office based headcount demand will not likely affect the current footprint, and then an office will continue to thrive but in new ways. Office will going to remain. It's not that you are going to completely eliminate the office, but then yes, the design, the pattern, and the mode of office will be altogether different, and it's not going to be the same as what is. The conclusion to my presentation would be the urbanization is not going to stop. The demand for real estate is going to be there and increase over time. However, the product and and the factors would excite the customer shall in a different way from what we have today. So definitely, the product what is available today no more prevail. The customer is going to continue with the choice of investing in a real estate, but definitely his choice and preference will not be the same. It's altogether different. The planning for residential complexes and specific housing unit is expected to change immensely. So the housing has to be partially converted with an infrastructure in such a way that people should be able to function from their home without any disruption. IT intervention for uninterrupted availability of high bandwidth internet will be mandatory, as also higher capacity or increased number of lifts would be the new norm. As we all know, that social distancing norm and touchless economy fundamental is coming into picture. But definitely, when you have a lesser amount of people traveling by an elevator, we will definitely require a rise in the capacity of elevator. So that's going to be a new design pattern. As people are working from home, the major challenge they are facing is internet bandwidth, irrespective of having internet through a various service provider, but that's not helping you out. Definitely, the investor is expected or the developer is expected to provide a facility wherein we have uninterrupted internet connection. And even if you have to work from home, it will be as seamless as working from home. So with work from home being a new normal, increased number of people choose to move to more affordable areas, as indeed cities outside of their commuting zone. It could bring down price in the less affordable areas, somewhat balancing the housing market. When we know that people have a choice of working from anywhere, the demographic is no more a limit. Today, if I have to hire an employee who is working in an area which is 100 kilometers away from Bombay, he would definitely like to move to a place which is much affordable and he can have a house of his own. So he doesn't need to come to office. So definitely, if he doesn't need to come to office, he can reside anywhere. So that is again, encourage the fundamental of affordable housing, affordable residence market, and that's how more people are inclined or more people would spend on the affordable home in going future. Public places will move towards new automation to mitigate contention with COVID-19, speeding up development of all type of touchless technology, automatic door, voice-activated elevators, self-fold control hotel room entry, hands-free light switches, and temperature control automated luggage tag bags may be an advanced technology that can be used in airport security check. So we all see wider corridors and doorways, more partition between the departments, and a lot more staircases. So that clearly justified what was prevailing is really going to change drastically. At a time we moved from a concept of a closed office to open office. Now again we are going back to an era of a closed office because isolation will be one of the important factor, and that's how where we see more partitions and barriers coming into picture again. And we have even seen many organizations who have started their operations have done a lot of infrastructure changes while they brought people to office by creating a lot of barrier and partition to have an optimum use of the space. Furniture is definitely changed too. If you have seen, in last so many years, this office desk size has shrunk from 1.8 meters to 1.6 meters and finally to 1.4 meters. But now we will see that, there is a reversal. And as people want to sit not so close to each other, imagine, based on the legislation and norm, definitely, the sizes of workstations are going to increase again. It means we are going back to the same era when we had a workstation of around 4 to 5 feet. Coming from 2.5 feet, we are moving back to 6 feet again. So that's the change which we can see in the in the newer workplace. COVID-19 has revealed the need to devote resource for future pandemic. From Beijing to China, the shutdown has cleaned the air pollution of reducing the respiratory diseases too. These are the lessons which I'm talking about, which can make the world as a better place. Though COVID has an impact larger on the economy and other thing, and the crisis has really brought everything into standstill. But at the same time, we should also understand there are certain good lessons which COVID has taught us. We know that the traffic pollution and congestion can be greatly reduced through work from home strategies and use technology to hold virtual meeting where the participant can be 100 of miles apart. Somebody sitting in UK also can speak to you, can be a part of an event which you are organizing, or it can be a part of a meeting which you want to organize. So technology has brought everyone closer to each other irrespective of this pandemic. So explore technology. COVID has really brought a good lesson to enhance the sustainability, and as a lesson we should try to hold that. But definitely most of the corporate would encourage to continue to encourage the work from home policy, also take care of the sustainability. Study estimated that one third of American workforce normally preferred working from home. However, in India, since the culture is not so encouraged, uh, we don't find that the quantum as high as other European and American countries. But the shutdown experiences will definitely push India and the corporate to innovate a new way and then move to a work from home culture. This will not only control a cost but improve the efficiency at a lower price. It will yield a measure social benefits for which the environment stands out. Fewer people commuting to work means huge saving of fuel and reduction of road dust. It means less pollution, especially from vehicles idling the traffic jam. As I said earlier, that's the reason why UK and US have been more emphasizing on the work from home culture, because one of the major parameter is to reduce the carbon emission, and that's how COVID has taught us. And most of the organizations are definitely going to follow this as a trend in near future. So that's again going to make the real estate size shrink to a larger extent. My concluding recommendation: labor has been always precious. You take care of them, and they will take care for you. Gain his confidence, bring him back, take care of him, provide him accommodation, take care of his family, and you see he can add phenomenal value to you. I have tried that personally, and I have seen the level of value that has added to me. So that's all from me. I would thank you for your patience, and I am ready to take any questions. Happy to answer that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkar. That was a very informative session. Thanks a lot for sharing all the information with us. Here, I would like to understand from you. As you said, I totally agree with you that work from home has, not only saved a lot of cost. It is, more friendly for employees since they can be safe at their home and work effectively. And also, it has, incredibly, it has contributed to sustainability also. So here, I would like to understand from you, like you focused on the labor workforce. Right. So you said
Correct.
if you take care of the labor, they are going to take care of you. Right.
Correct.
So I would like to understand here is how the builders, like you involve masons with you, you involve plumbers, electrician, and there is n number of kind of people that are working for the real estate. Right. So how are you ensuring their safety along with the people who are working from the home?
Nilu, one thing is there. Every corporate has a policy of connecting with people. Every line manager has a policy of connecting with their team members at home and taking a daily update at what is happening. There is, see, the internal communication has to play a larger role to ensure and communicate to their employee of what are the do's and don'ts and what are the best practices they should follow. That is for the people
Right.
who are working from home. But when you are talking about labor, see, labor is something you cannot make him travel, because if you make him travel, you're carrying the risk of contamination. So definitely you need to ensure that when you start your operations or activity, you need to provide him with an accommodation. Or if you want to bring him to the site, you have to provide him with a transport to ensure that he commutes safe. Because today, till the time we get a really a genuine feeling that public transport is really trustworthy, we will not allow anybody to travel through a public transport irrespective of a labor or irrespective of a
Right.
employee. Even when I am engaging my labor workforce, either I give them an accommodation in proximity to my office, or I provide them vehicle support to come to office irrespective of wherever they stay. And what I do, I try to bring them on a rotation. Like if somebody is coming from a distance of 100 kilometers, I will bring him, make him stay. I will take him back, and I will put him on home quarantine for a few days, and again I will bring him back. But irrespective, I have to spend on his transportation, but I have to ensure that both the end-to-end position is safe. He's
Yeah.
traveling through a safe mode, he's staying in a safe location, and again I am giving him a safe accommodation. His food and other medical requirement are been taken care by me. His daily health checkup is done by me. We have provided with a doctor who is on site, who comes to the site and monitors that the health and symptoms of the employee. In case anybody is found, because thermal screening has been become a mandatory norm by MHA. So that is something we check daily. And in case we find any employees having any symptoms and all, we immediately check him and put him on home quarantine for some day, and then with a medical screening and certification, we bring him back. So what you need to do, you need to take care of an employee. Maybe you have to spend an amount of money more
Right.
than what was the norms are changed. You may have to spend upon his transportation, or you may have to provide him with the accommodation. But yes, you may not be able to bring or start the work with the labor force what was prevailing, but at least to start off an operation, you would reach some sort of labor and try to provide them or spend on them if you want your activity to start. Because if you wait for things to get normalized, I don't think at least it will, for 1.5 year we are going to say everything coming back to 100% normal. Even if the vaccines come in, till the time the entire country is green, you will not see the content of social distancing getting eliminated completely. We, even to an extent, if at all the employee is with me and if his family requires any support, I will send a vehicle to his family to go to a doctor or to take care of other things. So that is how we do for our employees and their families, especially on the labor part.
Right, great, great, Dr. Sarkar. It was really great to have an insight what you are doing with your employers and your laborers. So it was really entertaining and it was really informative. And really, thank you for detailing all the challenges that are being faced by the real estate industry and how you can overcome those challenges. So thanks a lot, Dr. Abhijit, for
Thank you so
making
much.
this session so much informative. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.